You've been told, chase enlightenment with every breath. You've logged retreats, memorized sutras, counted koans like beads, believing the next insight will set you free. But here's the provocation. What if that very chase is the chain that binds you to endless suffering? I'm Silent Flame. In this series, we'll dare to let go of the ultimate prize and witness what precious thing emerges when you stop seeking awakening. In the hunger for awakening, ambition masquerades as devotion, and devotion turns into a grind, perpetual practice syndrome. Every meditation session becomes not enough. You chase deeper states, longer sights, ever higher peak experiences, until the cushion feels like a prison. Spiritual achievement addiction. Insight reports morph into status markers. I'm on stage 4. Your ego glories in progress, forgetting that progress itself is a subtle trap that feeds endless craving. Retreat burnout. Weeks of silence yield glimpses of peace, but returning home, you panic. Where's my session? Where's my community? You chase the retreat idol, losing contact with life's raw immediacy. Inner critic's coup. The judge within scolds every lapse. Not mindful enough. Your practice is sloppy. Seeking enlightenment hands power to a tyrant mind that never rests. The quest for awakening can warp into a cycle of self-exploitation. To end that cycle, you must stop wanting even the end of wanting. When you drop the baton of striving, a surprising gift unfolds. The raw ground of being beneath all agendas. Quiet beyond goals. No more bullet points or progress markers, just silence. In that stillness, you taste a spacious calm, unbought by effort and untouched by outcome, embodied, here and now, without the mental treadmill. Your body becomes your anchor. You feel the weight of each breath, the pulse of every heartbeat, tender reminders that you are already whole. Unscripted autonomy. Free from the script of next insight, you reclaim your aliveness. Decisions flow from intuition, not doctrine, revealing a freedom that no teaching can bestow. Emergence of natural wisdom. In surrender, innate clarity arises. Problems untangle themselves in the crucible of rest. Solutions bloom effortlessly, as if your mind had always known the way. Surrender isn't defeat. It's the door to a sanctuary where no one hunts, yet every treasure lies waiting. Letting go of the quest feels liberating until you discover unexpected consequences lurking in the darkness. Dissolution of structure. Without the scaffolding of practice schedules and Sangha rules, you risk slipping into drift. The same freedom that refreshes can also unmoor you from any container. Subtle self-abandonment. Ceasing to seek can blur into apathy. The line between relinquishing craving and neglecting your own growth can vanish, leaving emptiness that feels less sacred and more forsaken. Isolation and alienation. Friends who celebrated your practice may recoil at your indifference. In stepping off the conveyor belt of progress, you may find yourself alone in a crowd of goal-driven souls. The temptation of nihilism. If nothing matters, why act at all? Surrender can slide into cynicism, a nihilistic void where meaning collapses under the weight of radical freedom. The refuge of no seeking hides its own pitfalls. Freedom without form can become a wild chasm where every step risks falling. When the discipline falls away, something unexpected blooms, a childlike aliveness that no retreat schedule ever delivered. Spontaneous wonder. You catch yourself marveling at sunlight on leaves, laughter of strangers, the perfect imperfection of your own breath. This raw delight wasn't earned. It erupted when you stopped treating life as a syllabus. unscripted creativity. Without agendas, your mind begins to play. Ideas leap like fireflies, fresh, untamed, irrelevant to any spiritual metric. In that freedom, true innovation and authentic expression awaken, lightness of being. The weight of practice goals lifts. You move through days with a buoyant grace, smiling at tasks once tedious. Washing dishes becomes a dance, walking the dog a meditation in motion, joy as practice itself. Here, joy is neither goal nor reward. It is the essence of presence. When play becomes your default mode, every moment is both path and fruit, collapsing the gap between doing and being. In surrender, you don't find play, you remember it, and that remembrance dissolves the boundary between you and the world's endless possibility. Paradoxically, abandoning the hunt can awaken a subtler, deeper seeing, one that no amount of striving ever revealed. Insight without effort, without the glare of intention, patterns of mind uncoil naturally. You observe thoughts dissolving like mist. No struggle, no push, just the gentle revelation of thought's empty fabric. Synchronicities multiply. Events begin to align. Chance meetings feel like guides. Songs on the radio speak directly to your condition. Symbols appear in dreams. This cosmic choreography isn't conjured. It unfolds when you stop forcing meaning. Listening to the body's wisdom, deprived of intellectual analysis, you turn inward. Tension points in shoulders, flutter in belly, heaviness in heart. They speak truths no talk can reach. This somatic clarity becomes a crucible of real insight. The return of intuition. Decisions no longer lean on sutra citations or teacher approval. A quiet knowing arises, felt in bones, that guides your steps. This intuitive intelligence transcends maps, charts, and checklists. Insight as living stream. Rather than rare peaks, wisdom flows like a river through everyday actions. You respond with unplanned compassion, speak truths unclouded by doctrine, and act from immediacy rather than obligation. When seeking ceases, the mind's roots sink into ground deeper than concept. There, insight isn't a summit to conquer, but a stream you swim in effortlessly. When you relinquish the grand quest, even the most trivial moments glint with unknowable depth. Sacred in the subtle, the hum of an air conditioner, the drip of a faucet, a neighbor's cough. Each becomes a gateway to the immeasurable. Mundane sensations, once filtered out by spiritual ambition, now roar with presence. Everyday rituals as portals. The simple acts, making coffee, brushing your teeth, tying shoelaces, assume the weight of initiation when performed without agenda. The mundane is transmuted into ceremony, each gesture echoing the cosmic dance. Time's elastic mystery. Without the stopwatch of progress, minutes stretch and contract unpredictably. A moment of waiting at a bus stop can expand into an eternity of awareness. An hour of doing nothing can collapse into an instant of revelation. Gravity of simplicity. The gravity that once pulled you toward lofty goals now anchors you to what is. In this reversal, the ground beneath your feet shimmers with the same luminosity that you once sought in mountaintop visions. The world you once raced through becomes a laboratory of awakening, where every crumb, every breath, every heartbeat is alive with mystery. Ceasing to chase doesn't end awakening. It often begins it. Here are seekers who stopped seeking and found a path unexpectedly underfoot. The factory worker's epiphany. Clocking in for another night shift, he stopped replaying mantra in his head and simply watched the steady pulse of machinery. In that unguarded moment, the division between observer and observed evaporated, No retreat needed. The single mother's dawn. Weary from sleepless nights, she gave up formal meditation. One morning, holding a child, she saw her own smile as a reflection of boundless kindness, awakening not in silence, but in the raw warmth of human bond. The scholar's accidental insight, buried in ancient texts, she grew tired of dissecting every line. Closing the volume, she noticed the afternoon light shifting across her study desk. In that slip of attention, wisdom poured in, unbidden, unearned, irrevocable. The homeless hermit's return. Evicted and destitute, he abandoned his mobile shrine and girdle of beads. Sleeping under the city bridge, he discovered that naked vulnerability, cold, exposed, unprotected, became the crucible for compassion and crystalline clarity. The novice's final surrender. After years of counting koans, he stumbled upon a moment of utter boredom. In the yawning chasm of ennui, the question who seeks imploded, leaving only the vast, laughter-lined space of simply being. These stories shred the myth that awakening demands effort. Often, it slips in through the back door of our lives when we step off the stage and stand, unadorned, in the raw light of now. When pursuit drops away, the rigid grid of hours and agendas dissolves into something alive and unpredictable. Time as a living stream, no longer measured by sit timers or retreat schedules. Moments stretch and contract according to their own hidden logic. 20 minutes can feel like a lifetime of awareness, or evaporate before you notice its passing. Space as sacred geometry. Places you once ignored. Sidewalk cracks, empty fields, alleyways. Shimmer with uncharted potential. Without the map of spiritual goals, the very ground beneath you becomes a labyrinth of mystery waiting to unfold. Boundary dissolution. The lines between inside and outside blur. The confines of your skin, your home, even the city limits soften as the world pulses through every pore. You inhabit an elastic field where self and other breathe as one. Moments of timeless grace. In the absence of ticking clocks, you find pockets of timelessness. Seconds that linger like eternity. Spaces where cause and effect momentarily pause. These are the hidden frequencies of consciousness, audible only when the static of ambition falls silent. Free from the tyranny of schedules, you discover that time and space were never fixed prisons, but living canvases, responsive to the silence you cultivate. Quitting the quest isn't surrender to apathy. It's an insurgency against the culture of endless striving. Revolt against productivity. In a world that measures worth by output, choosing unstructured presence is a radical refusal. This silent revolution says, my being cannot be commodified by achievements or checklists. Defiance of spiritual consumerism. Retreats, workshops, and certifications promise higher states. Stepping off that conveyor belt is a protest against the monetization of awakening, an act of civil disobedience on the terrain of the soul. Liberation from comparison. When you stop benchmarking your insight against others, you break the cycle of envy and self-doubt. The quiet rebellion reclaims your uniqueness, demolishing the meritocracy of spiritual status, reclaiming autonomy. The true act of freedom lies in choosing your own path, not one branded by gurus or market trends. By abandoning the hunt, you erect no monuments, follow no guidebooks, answering only to the call of your own heart. This is the revolution that needs no banners, the courage to be fully yourself, unshackled by the edicts of Enlightenment's marketplace. You've cast off every goal, no longer chasing bliss or insight. Yet in that aftermath, you confront a new abyss, the blank stare of existence without agenda. Gaze into the unmarked space. Without relics of practice or milestones to cling to, you meet the raw screen of now. It reflects nothing, and in its emptiness, you see yourself unmasked, free of every role you once played, the temptation to fill the gap. The void tugs at you, gossip, new hobbies, petty dramas. These diversions promise relief, but only replay the same old search in different uniforms. Another quest disguised as pastime. Echoes of longing. Even without objectives, the ghost of desire whispers, find meaning here. Recognizing those echoes as relics of a past pursuit lets you hold the void without recoiling, allowing presence to shine into the emptiness. The sacred pause. This mirror of no purpose isn't nihilism. It's a breathing space between actions. Learning to rest in that pause, unanchored, reveals that your very being is the only constant worth knowing. The greatest test of freedom is not in having no goals, but in daring to inhabit the silence they leave behind. Stopped chasing, you discover life isn't a mountain to summit, but a river to swim in, flowing, changing, endlessly generous to the unresisting heart. Effortless engagement, tasks that once felt heavy, emails, chores, conversations, now unfold with surprising ease. Without ambition's grip, your energy sinks with each moment's own pulse, turning work into dance. Serendipities return, opportunities drift in unexpectedly, an invitation, a chance meeting, a new idea. When you're not pushing against reality, the currents of circumstance carry you to shores you never plotted on. Listening to life's intelligence. Instead of forcing outcomes, you learn the art of receptivity, noticing what wants to happen, where attention naturally settles. This yields a co-creative partnership with events, rather than a one-sided struggle. Radiant ease. In non-striving, ease becomes your hallmark. It isn't laziness, but a subtle radiance. Your actions emerge from clarity rather than compulsion, infusing the ordinary with uncontrived authenticity. When you stop pushing the river, you discover that life was never upstream. It has always been carrying you forward. When you surrender the map of progress, you step into a territory where questions multiply and answers dissolve. This art of not knowing is the alchemical soil from which true insight springs. Question as practice. Without fixed goals, every question, who am I? What is this? Becomes a living inquiry. You no longer seek to solve life. You learn to dwell in the question, letting its tension catalyze fresh perspectives. Unlearning certainty. All doctrines, methods, and experiences are provisional. The art of not knowing trains you to release any claim, even to your own awakening. In that unlearning, reality reveals textures that dogma would flatten. Embracing paradox, life unfolds in contradictions, joy and sorrow, self and other, being and becoming. When you stop forcing coherence, these paradoxes cease to frustrate and instead bloom as windows into the mystery of existence. Cultivating beginner's mind, every moment becomes the first moment. You approach the sunrise, a cup of tea, a friend's laugh with fresh eyes. No preconceptions, no baggage. This perpetual fresh start is the heart of not knowing. The art of not knowing is not about ignorance. It's the fearless embrace of mystery, where each breath writes a new story on the blank page of now. We have explored liberation, play, time, flow, and now arrive at the final provocation. When the path ends, who walks it? Your uncharted self, unclaimed by any vision of awakening, stands at the threshold of boundless possibility. Release every mental image of who you should be enlightened sage, compassionate teacher, calm observer. In that dissolution, space opens for the unconditioned self to arise. Without the identity of seeker or awakened one, you live as pure presence. Actions flow naturally, not from role or reputation, but from the spontaneous intelligence of being itself. In ancient Taoist terms, remain as the uncarved block, untouched by forms and designations. In that raw simplicity lies the freedom to manifest spontaneously in infinite ways. True rebellion in a world obsessed with fame, status, and self-improvement is to choose anonymity. Let your life be a question mark rather than an exclamation, an open invitation to mystery rather than a sealed statement of achievement. When you stop seeking, you don't arrive anywhere familiar. You awaken to the uncharted self, wild, free, utterly new. That self is both the last frontier and the truest home. We've unraveled the grind of pursuit, tasted surrender's depth, danced with play, rode the flow of non-striving, and embraced the art of not knowing. Now these threads weave into a single tapestry, life beyond both path and no path, beyond duality, Seth, not path, seeking, not seeking. These pairs collapse when lived fully. You find yourself neither a pilgrim nor a hermit, but a being moving effortlessly between action and stillness, form and emptiness. Every moment as both teacher and student. The world no longer splits into lessons and leisure. Each breath both instructs and learns. Each step both guides and follows. This non-dual dance renders the idea of practice obsolete. Everything is practice. Everything is life. Unconditional presence. You rest in awareness that doesn't depend on insight or ignorance. Joy and pain, clarity and confusion, all arise as equal guests. Your home is the heart of any storm. Your refuge, the spacious field beneath shifting phenomena. Creative unfoldment. Freed from templates, you co-create reality. Ideas blossom without intent. Relationships deepen without agendas. Art emerges unbidden. This is the alchemy of no path. Life becomes the ultimate experiment in presence. To live beyond path and no path is to become the question that never resolves. A mystery dancing in the silence between every heartbeat. I've shown you the terrain where striving and surrender meet, and where both dissolve. Now I challenge you to step into that liminal space and embody the unasked question. Evade every label. Refuse the easy identity of wise one or lost soul. Let every name fall away until only the raw aliveness remains. Question every step. Don't settle into a new comfort zone. Question your comfort. Question your disillusionment. Question this very series. Live as perpetual inquiry. Embody uncertainty. Wear not knowing like a cloak of honor. In every choice, reveal your vulnerability rather than conceal it behind beliefs or techniques. Become the open door. Invite others not with answers, but with genuine questions. Let your presence whisper the possibility that every moment is a threshold to something utterly new. In the vastness beyond seeking, you are neither traveler nor destination. You are the question that invites the universe to answer itself through you. Walk that question, and you become the living mystery awakening all around you.